I'm going to call this meeting of the East Gloucester Veterans Memorial School Building Committee to order, and I will state that this meeting is recorded by audio and video in accordance with state open meeting law, consistent with the governor's orders suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law and banning gatherings of more than 25 people. This meeting will be conducted by remote participation and it will be recorded. So Chris, could we have a roll call for attendance?
Yes. Jonathan Pope.
I'm here.
Richard Sapphire.
Present.
Greg Catamartori. Don't believe he's here. Okay. Kathy Clancy.
Here.
Thank you. Donna Compton.
Here.
Thank you. John Dunn. Is John muted? I'll come back to John. Gary Frisch.
Here.
Thank you. Matt Fusco. Grant Harris.
Here.
Thank you. Ben Lummis.
Here.
Ben, you're, yep, thank you. Joe Lucido.
Sorry about that.
Jameson Manning.
Here.
Thank you. Ryan Marks. Okay. Amy Pasquarello.
Here.
Thank you. Adam Roselle.
Here.
And thank you. And Katie Eunice.
Here.
And did John Dunn, are you here? Still muted. Okay, I see John, but he didn't say present, so that completes it, Jonathan. Is Jonathan? Nope. Jonathan, you're on mute.
It's probably just as well. I welcome everybody. I hope you all had a great snow day, and let's move on with this meeting. The first order of business is to vote to approve East Gloucester Veterans Project meeting minutes for December 10th. And I so move.
Second.
Okay. Are there any corrections or omissions? Okay, you'll have to either raise your hand or speak up, because with the screen share, I can't see everybody. So by raise your hand, I mean hit the raise hand button, not start waving your hands at me, because I can't see you. Okay, so seeing none, Chris, could we have a roll call vote?
Yes. Jonathan Pope.
Yes.
Richard Sapphire.
Yes.
Kathy Clancy.
Yes.
Donna Compton.
Yes.
John Dunn. So if you mute. Okay, I'll come back. Sorry. Gary Frisch.
Here. Yes, I'm sorry.
Thank you. Grant Harris.
Yes.
Thank you. Ben Lummis. Ben, you're on mute.
Yes.
Thank you. Jameson Manning.
Yes.
Thank you. Amy Pasquarello.
Yes.
Thank you. Adam Roselle.
Yes.
Thank you. And Katie Eunice.
Yes.
Thank you. Jonathan, you're on mute.
It's been a long day, sorry. It passes unanimously. There, I believe, no invoices. Is that correct, Tom?
Yes, that is correct.
There are no invoices. And so we'll move on to our reports. And I will hand it over to, Tom, are you going to start this off?
Well, I think John Dunn is, if he's still plugged in, was to provide the update of the
Okay.
swing space
Okay.
RFP submissions.
Okay, well, Mr. Dunn, we see your name, but we don't hear your charming voice.
Do we want to move to the next agenda item and then we'll backtrack with him?
Right.
Okay.
Okay, let's move on to the next item, which is design subcommittee updates. We appointed the subcommittees on the vote, and the members of the Interior Subcommittee are Amy Pasquarello, Kathy Clancy, Adam Roselle, and Ben Lummis. And the Exterior Subcommittee is Matt Fusco, Jameson Manning, Greg Catamatori, Ben Lummis, and myself. The Interior Subcommittee has met, and we can get our update, a report from that. Is Michelle, are you going to give us that? Maybe not.
Sure, thank you.
Excuse me.
We had a very good meeting the other day. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm unmuted now, right?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Thumbs up if you can hear me. Thanks.
Yep.
Yes.
So we had a great meeting the other day. We started where we had left off at the end of SD. So we talked about the finishes and color theory that we had established prior to the start of the DD process. And then we went back and reviewed some of the materials with a little bit more detail that we had. And we've set another meeting for just after the first of the year to start to get into a little bit finer detail with the exact colors and the exact materials for each of these spaces. So we started big picture, and now we're going to start refining some of those decisions. I don't know if Kathy or Ben or Adam or Amy have anything that they want to add to that. Okay then.
I would say I love the color scheme we're keeping with the warm and welcoming calm that we had planned in the original. And it was exciting to see the materials starting to come to be presented.
Anything else on any questions of the Interior Subcommittee? Okay, seeing none. The Exterior Subcommittee, Michelle, you just have a date for them, is that correct?
That's correct. So at our previous meeting, we had talked about meeting on December 23rd, and we have shifted that to be after the first of the year. So now we're going to be meeting during the first week of January. And at that meeting, we'll be, again, doing something very similar. We'll start with where we left off at SD, bring everybody back up to speed, and then begin to zero in on exact colors and finishes of both the building as well as the landscape materials.
Okay, any questions on the exterior? Okay. And have we figured out how, whether we're going to actually let some part of the public be able to view these materials?
So the public will be able to view the materials once we've narrowed down some of those decisions. It will be a little bit harder to view the interior materials since we don't want to be leaving them outside, and entering the school protocol is a little bit difficult. So we'll have to come up with a method for them to do that, but we will certainly be taking photographs and posting them at our meetings in January, at this particular meeting in January, so the public will be able to see any of those decisions that we've made along the way.
I think that'll be sufficient for the requests that I've heard from the community and from the school committee as far as just wanting to be able to see things, even if it's just a slideshow. Okay. Great. So we'll move on to the deliberations.
Is John Dunn available, or he's still there? Yeah.
No, it's John.
Okay, we'll move
Yeah,
forward.
I'll text him and see
Okay.
where he is, whether it's just,
Okay, we can move on to the
and we
next
can move on
discussion.
to
Yeah.
the proprietary specification overview. And is that Michelle?
Probably be me, Jonathan.
Okay, okay. Thanks.
So what we wanted to do is we just wanted to give the committee a little backdrop here. It's nothing where we're going to have any decisions today, but as we move forward with the design process, okay, there are some decisions that will have to be made on what we call proprietary type items. And this has to do with Massachusetts procurement laws. And the way that the Massachusetts procurement laws, I'm sure everybody was wondering tonight and wants to think about this over the holidays, but really what it is when we have products out there, there's a requirement to help have competitive bidding as part of the overall process, is to have what's called a 3 or equal requirement. And so that really falls into, let's just talk for a second about, kind of rooftop units or air handlers, which are those big boxes that you see on the top of the buildings that are part of the HVAC system. And so when you look at that, there's a number of different types of manufacturers, and as a procurement requirement, you have to be able to name at least 3. And so, you might have AAF, you might have York, you might have McQuaid, or there's a number of them, but ultimately you have to have 3. But as designers, what we have to do is we kind of have to pick a horse, right? And say, well, as our basis of design, the one that we're going to move forward with is going to be brand X. And so we'll use that as our basis of design in all of our design documents. And hopefully, we would get that. If not, we might not get the first one, which is our basis of design, but we might get the second one. And for all intents and purposes, they meet a specification which delivers the same thing. But just like if it's a Ford or if it's a Chevy, they're a little bit different. And we might have to make some changes along the way to accommodate if we didn't get the basis of design. Another thing that we look at is there are a couple of items out there that typically would fall into what we call the proprietary category. And, following along with the air handling units or the RTUs, there's controls associated with that, which basically drive how the whole system would work throughout the building. Many times, within school districts or within cities where they have multiple buildings, they like to try and keep those similar between various buildings, various projects. That way, from a parts perspective, maintenance perspective, the teams that'll be working on that over the long haul are familiar, with what those controls are, how they work, et cetera, et cetera. So in that instance, what we may end up doing, and we would be working through this with the appropriate people, if we're continuing with the air handling idea, it would probably be, Mike Hale, Joe Lucido, and their group to understand, what they would like to have. And in that instance, if that were deemed to be, something that we wanted to have those controls proprietary, again, under mass procurement laws, basically what we have to do is we have to go and take a vote on that. We have to put together a narrative as to why this is something that we have to do, why we have to go proprietary versus the 3 are equal. And, we would do that. And then at some point in the future, once all those items have determined that would be necessary to be proprietary, we would be bringing that back to the committee. Okay, and the committee would go and vote on that. And as part of that, at that point in time, we would be making sure that we update you and give you that narrative as to, why these types of things would need to be proprietary. Door hardware, another keying systems. Again, consistency is usually the primary driver. As a general matter, we like to try and stay away from proprietary if we can. The reason for that is obviously if you go and say, we're going to make this a sole source procurement, and that entity knows that, there's not as much of an incentive to sharpen their pencil, if you will. So we really try and keep that, as limited as possible, but where it's necessary, it's something that the district and the city are allowed to go and do. So we're just giving you a little bit of a heads up on that. That'll be coming down the road at some
Yeah,
point
for
when we
me.
get a little
Is it
further
coming out for
into
other
the
people too, or is
design.
or is it my end?
Being able to hear me, Ben? Can folks hear me, or?
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you
Okay.
fine.
Loud and clear.
Okay. So, so at some point down the road, we'll be putting together the list of all of the proprietary items that will be included as part of the project. We'll be giving you those narratives, and we'll be asking at a vote at that point in time. So if anybody has any questions on that, happy to try and answer them. If not, happy to move along, and you can just live with all of that mass procurement knowledge now that you've gleaned from tonight's little pitch.
Any questions?
Okay.
I don't see any. So,
Forward
I
or backwards?
haven't heard back from John Dunn.
Okay.
So we don't know where he is.
Okay.
He left his name on our sheet, but he's not here. Next, the review process is determining, for proprietary, we've just done that. Is there any other business? I mean, that's,
The only question I think before we go on, Jonathan, was the naming of this of the
Right.
project, not the school, but of the project.
I brought this up a couple of weeks ago or a couple of meetings ago, and MSBA requires that we have consistency in what we call the project. And when the project when we were accepted with our statement of interest into feasibility, the project's name was the East Gloucester School Building Project, because that was the school that was approved. But since then, and they are completely aware of this and agreeable to it, in that they've approved our preliminary design and as well as our schematic design, that we are in the process going to be merging East Gloucester and Veterans Memorial School. And for the clarity within the community, we'd like to change the name, but we have to change it officially and send that to MSBA and say, this is what we're calling this project now. And then that can be used on all of the documents that the many documents that go back and forth between design and the city and MSBA and everything else, all the other agencies that we'll come in contact with. So it's really just for consistency. So I would like to make a motion that we change the name. We notify MSBA that we have changed the name of our project from the East Gloucester School Building Project to the East Gloucester / Veterans Memorial School Building Project. And I so move.
Second.
Okay.
So question is without the word elementary, just for clarity, after memorial.
I thought it was with.
We removed the word elementary from the project name, just
Yeah.
because it's like half the page with
Yeah.
all.
Yeah, it's really just for consistency and to get across to the community and everybody involved that we're really talking about two schools here, not one. So I don't think we need to.
That's fine. That's fine. We'll just like you said, the footer here and the meeting and everything else. We'll just remove the word elementary, and that's what it will be. That's fine.
All right. Is there any other discussion or questions or comments?
Only that John Dunn had brought up what was listed in the some of the legal contractual documents. Is there any distinction between those and this without the elementary? And does it matter?
I don't know what has been done up to date. But as far as MSBA is concerned, we have to call, all communications with them has been the East Gloucester School Building
Okay.
project. And what we're doing is putting them on notice that we're changing it to the East Gloucester Veterans. I assume that everything that's gone to them has been appropriately labeled. So I don't know.
I was trying to check and see if I could find the language of the loan order, which I think is what John was concerned about.
That's true. That's, he,
The loan order does include the word, loan order did include the word elementary. And when we spoke before, I believe that John had said that it was okay to remove that.
okay. All right. So we will remove the word elementary just for the, so we're not getting into the second line of the title. Is there any other discussion or questions? Okay. Seeing none, Chris, could we have a roll call vote?
Yes. Jonathan Pope,
Yes.
thank you. Richard Sapphire,
Yes.
thank you. Kathy Clancy,
Yes.
thank you. Donna Compton,
Yes.
thank you. Gary Frisch,
Yes.
thank you. Grant Harris,
Yes.
thank you. Ben Lummis. Ben Lummis. I'll come back to Ben. Jameson Manning,
Yes.
thank you. Amy Pasquarello,
Yes.
thank you. Adam Roselle,
Yes.
thank you. And Katie Eunice,
Yes.
thank you. Ben Lummis. Okay, I'll leave Ben out on this one. Thank you.
That's okay, except it seems to be that, well, it carries unanimously for those who voted. There was a couple of absences in that, two absences of John Dunn and Ben Lummis, who disappeared, but he's back. He just missed the vote on the name change then.
Can we include him in
Oh,
as an
yeah,
appendix?
Would you like to vote on that?
Did you change anything other, any surprises on the discussion in terms of the
We
change?
removed the word elementary.
Okay, yes, that sounds good. Yes, I approve.
Okay,
Okay, I'll note it. Thank you.
that carries unanimously with one absence of John Dunn. So next item of business, and Ben, you're up for this, is the Communications Advisory Update.
Great. So I have a small group that's helping me with communications, help me organize communications. Kathy Clancy's helping out. Laura Weason's helping out. KT's helping out. And Grant Harris is helping out. And we might add a couple other folks from the community as well. We met earlier this week, and we are going to be working on rebuilding a project website and consolidating the projects from websites from 1 to 2. So that'll be easier for folks. We want to organize it so it's more easily navigable and into more defined sections. So people can get, instead of all sort of on one page, which is confusing or can be confusing. We're going to prepare short meeting summaries for each meeting, and those will be posted with all the meetings from all the documents from the building committee meeting, and that would include, like, minutes and presentation and agenda. I provided an update at the 12/16 school committee meeting because one of the communications efforts is to make sure we're keeping them, school committee, fully in the loop. So we'll always give them a pretty full update after our meetings here at the following school committee meeting. So Jonathan and I gave them an update from last week's meeting we had. And then the group, I decided to schedule a community forum for in January. That's going to be on January 20th. And that'll give the community a chance to give us a chance to update the community on the design development phase, exactly all the different pieces that happen in design development. That point, we may be able to give folks a further update on swing space as well, depending on how that process plays out. But that's for it's really a building committee hosted community forum. So we'd love to have folks there. We do expect the folks will be able to ask questions and we'll answer them for them. And that also might be a time where folks can give additional input on the design as on the design or on the work that's happening. So that'll be good. So those are that's some significant progress that the work like the project website and those sorts of things will be should be up and running before the forum. So that's when we'll really launch things at that point. Yeah. And then also we've decided we'll be giving a project design update, a formal one, to the city council and school committee in March. Yeah, I think that's what we.
Any questions?
I got one question to the group. Let me see if there are any questions for us first, for me first on this. Any questions?
Like I say, I can't see everybody with the so you need to hit the raise hand button on hit participants, and at the bottom of that you'll see a raise hand button. If anybody has a question.
Seeing none, then I guess another question I'll always ask for folks, and we'll always the building committee should always consider at every meeting is there anything in particular we need to communicate about between now and in the next few weeks, basically? Obviously, we'll communicate about the forum and we'll advertise and publicize that. Anything in particular that we need to make sure either the school communities or the neighboring community around East veterans needs to know, or any particular boards or councils? I don't mean the work of the that the designers are doing necessarily, but I mean work that the public needs to know about. Anything folks can think of? Okay.
I can't think of anything, Ben. It's going to be fairly quiet for the next 2 weeks. Is my hope in life that things are settled down. But January, I'm sure we want to start talking about this. We have a meeting second Thursday in January.
Yeah.
And I suspect that's when we want to start gearing up.
Great. And our communication should be we're just on that time frame. That's great. All right, thanks.
Okay, is there anything else on the agenda, Tom? John Dunn has not gotten back to me. If you want to go back to that slide, Kathy is on that committee. They received 2 responses to the RFP. I believe that they are trying to do walkthroughs tomorrow. Is that correct, Kathy?
That is correct. Tomorrow morning, yes.
Tomorrow morning. And at some point, they will make a decision, which will be a recommendation to the school committee. This is something the school committee does have to approve of. And from that point, they'll start the negotiations of what work needs to be done in-house and what work needs to be done by the schools and what work needs to be subbed out, and what work's going to be done by the owners of the space. So there's a lot to talk about, and those negotiations will be handled on the city side with input from the design team as well as the school committee. Anything else? Like I say, there's no definitive answers about what's going on with that, but except the process is moving forward. Okay. Is there anything else? I think. Is there anything else that we would want to bring up in next meetings or put on the agenda for next meetings, or are we ready to celebrate the snow day one more time?
Can you remind people when the next meeting is?
The next meeting is, I don't have the date in front of me. It is the second Thursday in January,
January
14th,
14th.
14th.
January 14th, and as well as there will be a meeting of the, as Michelle said, on the 5th of the exterior subcommittee. 7th. Okay. All right. Okay. Nobody has anything else to say? Then I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
A move?
So moved.
I think
Second.
that was
Who is,
second.
sorry, who is first on that one?
Kathy.
Ben and Kathy, or whoever.
Ben and Kathy. Thank you.
Pros, the two pros. So roll call vote, Chris.
Oh, sorry, yes. Jonathan Pope,
Yes.
thank you. Richard Sapphire,
Yes.
thank you. Kathy Clancy,
Yes.
Donna Compton,
Yes.
thank you. Gary Frisch,
Yes.
thank you. Grant Harris,
Yes.
thank you. Ben Lummis,
Yes.
thank you. Jameson Manning,
Yes.
thank you. Amy Pasquarello,
Yes.
thank you. Adam Roselle,
Yes.
thank you. And Katie Eunice,
Yes.
thank you.
It's unanimous. The meeting is adjourned. I hope everybody enjoys their holidays coming up, and we'll see you all next year. Thank you.
Happy holidays, everyone.